Good morning, everybody. It is the 6th of November. We are Signal Centre Talking Ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Ian Coleman and Steve O'Hare. Good morning, gents.
Morning
Good
all.
morning.
Happy 250th episode of Talking Ball.
God,
Wowza.
that went quick, didn't it? From 200 to 250.
It did, yeah.
Bloody hell.
How are we all doing this morning?
All right, I'm glad it's Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Non-farm Friday as well.
I'm fine.
Not that I
Yeah.
think it matters, because there's slightly more pressing issues going on at the moment. Obviously, the count for the White House. I don't know if either of you caught Trump's press
I watched it
conference
this morning.
this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's already won, isn't he, by a substantial amount?
It was cut off by 3 news channels mid conference because
Oh,
he was
was
just
he?
making so many outrageous claims that were false. So losing his grip, it would seem. I've just been sort of trawling Twitter to try and see the sort of fallout from it and see what his supporters are saying. There's a few guys, clearly just blindly following him and believe everything that he says. It's quite astonishing, really. So it looks like Biden's going to take it. I'm sort of following the count now on CNN live. He looks very close in Arizona to that being done. That will take him within a couple of votes of getting it done. It looks like the gap in Pennsylvania is also getting a lot closer, given the fact that a lot of mail-in votes are in favour of Biden. So it looks like it's going to go to the blue side. But more drama to come in that, I would have thought, given what we know about Donald Trump. So what's going on with the markets, guys? Anything that's catching your eye on the charts this morning?
Risk on still, isn't it?
You reckon? I think it's still in a bit personally.
Not in my book. It's never a risk on in my book. That's just personal.
Well, come on, Steve.
I'll
You
let
can
you
go
boys
first.
take the lead then.
Okay. Again, I'm looking at the Nasdaq. It's the really interesting one. We can see that this potential trend line has turned into a trend line resistance now. As we rejected the move to 12,144. Yesterday was a little bit subdued. I still believe in this head and shoulders formation, and we can get a closer look on the daily chart and can see we're all, the overnight's selling. It's got my gun to the head trade yesterday, which I had to leave halfway through, has sort of starting to reject these highs this morning. Obviously, we've got non-farm payroll, which could throw a little spanner in the works. So I still think there's, until we get a break really of yesterday's low, I wouldn't be 100% convinced that it's going to happen today, but there is potential for it. So let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. You can see the reversal candles here, a little shooting star, doji. We had a bullish engulfing candle here, and then the hanging man candle. So 3 out of 4 of those candles are bearish, followed by a confirmation of the sell-off. We're trading around the pivot level. I always look at pivot levels, quite like them. Let me bring my this is my IG charts here. You can see the pivot level coming in around about just under 12,000. So looking at that. Other indices, the last hour we've seen the shooting star on the FTSE. So that's negative for FTSE. Again, you can see it on DAX.
Eurostoxx 50. It's pretty much across the board, I think.
Yeah. So
looking tired, I reckon.
Yeah, it definitely feels it. It does feel a bit tired. I always feel like before we have a really decent sell-off, we have a spike higher, and maybe that will be provided by non-farm potentially,
maybe.
or something else, or maybe some sort of some sort of notification from one of the states that is close that maybe Trump's going to hang on to it. We'll get a spike up on that, flush a load of shorts out, and then we come off after that. So I'm just going to make sure that my stop remains positioned where it is. I'm still short of Nasdaq. I've actually added to it this morning with a little bit of an interim short, so a little bit of a tighter stop on it. But yeah, my stop is around 12,280. So it's going to be my gun to the head anyway. But yeah, that's how I feel on that. Obviously, we had a big break up in the commodities yesterday.
Yeah, I'll do the
you
commodities.
want to carry on that? Yeah.
Yeah, just I've got the daily chart ready here on gold. So as you can see, for days, if not weeks, we've seen price action consolidate within this triangle here. And yesterday we saw a fairly substantial break to the upside. We broke above this high from the 12th of October. Really powerful looking candle yesterday. A little bit of a retest today. And it looks as though we're on a March higher again. I'm sure Ian will talk about this on the dollar index side of things and what impact that's having. But for me, on the longer term charts of gold, it looks like we're exiting this consolidation. And I think it's a fairly clear path back up to those highs that we saw back in August for gold. If we take a look at how silver looks, it's not as clean. I'd like to see ideally a break above 25.50 on that one before we start projecting moves back up to the previous highs. But all in all, the trend is still pretty healthy and it looks pretty good to me. Copper continues just to march higher, not quite at the highest levels that we've seen, but the highs there were only back in October. If you look at where it was back in August, it's well above those levels and looks like it's going to continue moving higher from here. So on the commodity front, it's all looking pretty rosy, I think, and probably one of the. Sorry,
I said hunky dory.
Yeah, absolutely.
How boring. He sounds like how boring.
Oil, a little bit of a different scenario, I think. I mean, we talked about this breakdown last week, but that's retaking it with a powerful reversal candle there. Maybe more range-bound action between 41.72 to 36.42 in the short term. But that's my view on commodities, all looking pretty good with the exception of oil, I think. Ian, what you got?
I've got gold up, dollar down, as you rightly said. So this is the dollar index. Is the 4-hour chart. So this was the messing around, if you like, with the election, this up and down price action, but this cipher pattern held pretty well, and we're just about to take the lows. We might get a stalling here, and some of the dollar majors do highlight the potential for a bit of a dollar bounce, which might see a correction lower in stock indices and maybe even a retest for that gold wedge. But I think the big picture is still very negative. If we look at this chart, which is the 8-hour chart, this is playing out really nicely. 91.07 is, or 91, the figure I should say, is a nice prime short target for dollar bears, I think. If we go to this chart, which is the weekly chart, we've got a nice sort of confluence area here, 78.6% pullback and a 261.8% extension, with that 91 sitting in the middle. So bearish outside week, highly likely today. I know we've got non-farm payroll, but it's looking pretty negative for the dollar. So if we reflect that back onto majors, let's just talk about this one to start with. This is euro dollar. This is the daily chart. So we said we got complex patterns here. So ABC, down in 3, then up in 3, then down in 3, and then normally the last wave is in a 5-wave pattern, and it should break that previous swing high, which is at 118.80, so about another 30 ticks away. And the reason why I don't think there's going to be any sort of stalling in it is if we look at this, it's holding out to a nice sort of Elliott wave pattern pretty well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up towards here, maybe 224 to form a symmetrical. So still some upside price action, I think, but we might get a little bit of stalling. If we go to other majors or dollar majors, then again, the sort of big picture analysis is for this to be short term, another week maybe, but this dollar, when it does turn, I think it's going to be really aggressive, and that probably will push stock indices again to the downside. So again, we're just looking for a break of this previous high and a move up to this sort of sell range up here. If we go to this chart, which I think is pretty good. So breaking the previous swing high to complete a cipher pattern, and then a move to the downside. And they're all pretty similar, all the different pairs. This one's quite interesting, which is dollar Swiss, because obviously you've got people buying Swiss franc as a safe haven, and this looks like this is going to be, this previous swing low could be broken, and that would then take out the whole of this chart pattern basically, and we'd have to have a rethink on dollar Swiss. But at the moment it's still looking pretty negative. Like I said, we could get bounces. This is a 161.8% extension here, so we could get just an intraday bounce. Dollar CAD, why did I think there was going to be an intraday bounce on that? I don't actually. I think dollar CAD is still heading down to this level here, at least, which is around about 129.97. Aussie dollar was the one that I thought could stall, and again, it's only a mild stall, I think. I mean, 173.60 is up here, which is a nice confluence area. If we go to this one here, we've got a confluence area, so we could see it sort of dip down, risk off. Obviously, people selling Aussie if it's risk off, but I think that's just an opportunity to buy into it. And for that next phase higher, Euro sterling, I still like. I know I did a trade of the day on this yesterday and got stopped, I believe. But I think that bullish outside candle on the daily chart, I think this confluence area here, I think we're at least going to break to new highs over the next couple of days. And I've missed out .yen because I'm going to do that on my trade of the day. Okay. I quite like this pattern here, and I know we're consolidating. This is an 8-hour chart, so it might as well be the daily really, but it's just spikes in different directions. But this has a bias to break to the upside and get up towards about 126. So yeah, I think mild turnaround maybe, but non-farm payroll probably consolidate into that, and then get some decent price action. I do think it's going to be market moving today as well, non-farm.
Okay, thank you, Ian, for that roundup on the FX markets. So aside from obviously what's going on with the election in the US, there's a reasonable amount of news, nothing sort of really market moving, I don't think. In terms of non-farm payrolls today, 510,000 jobs expected to have been created for the previous month. That's down from 661,000
a few
earlier.
punting it up near 600 as well. So again, it's quite a decent range today.
Yeah, we've seen that over the last couple of months, that the ranges have been quite wide, meaning that it's quite difficult to see any big surprises either way because of that, and therefore sort of dampens the effect, I suppose, of non-farm payrolls because of that. We also have the Canadian Employment Report at 1:30 and also the Canada IV PMIs at 3 p.m. So over to the gun to the head stuff from yesterday. We all made 3 calls early in the morning. They closed out at 9 p.m. and then obviously we tally up and see how they're doing. Steve, you had the best performing trade yesterday, which was your trade on NASDAQ. You went short of that. It didn't really move very much either way. We saw that with the indices yesterday. It was a bit of a pause for breath. So it was the best performing, but it was still a loser, unfortunately. 0.17R at the 9 o'clock close. I had the DAX, which was 0.45 offside at 9 o'clock. And Ian, as you said earlier, you were stopped on Euro sterling. So choppy few days for us on the P&L front, which is to be expected given obviously the macro event that's happening at the moment. As we sort of stall, some of these moves stall, and we become, we get a little bit closer to a bit of clarity on the US election front. Hopefully, we can pick some decent moves in the market. So, Ian, I know you said you were ready on dollar yen. Have you got your chart ready to go?
Yeah. So the two, again, I think the big picture analysis is very bearish. This is a monthly chart here on yen. I think the eventual bias will be a move all the way back down towards these previous swing lows, so around about 82 the figure. But if we go to this time frame, which is a weekly chart, we're in this channel at the moment. 78.6% is here, 103.43. We'll have a tendency to offer a bounce. I don't think we get a big bounce. If you look at this level, 104, the figure, it's been very pivotal. It also probably looks like the Marabuzo level from this week as well. So I don't think it's going to be a big rally, put it that way. I think it's going to be a correction. But what I have got is this here, which is a confluence area. It's a 261.8% extension of that move, and it's a 127.2% extension of this move. So I'm looking to get long. I do also think that this we've got a 161.8% on the daily on the hourly chart, and I think this is just a sort of a funny old little wedge. So I'm looking at taking a long and hoping that non-farm payroll gives me a little boost, but I'm only looking for it to 104, the figure, so the R's not particularly mega. I will have it underneath the swing low though. So 103, is it 46 trading? Yeah, 10, that'll do. 103.99, 103.35. Yeah, it gives me a half decent R as long as I don't get spiked out of it. 4.8 R.
Great, good luck, mate. Steve, you still selling the indices?
Oh yes, oh yes. Just looking at we're 2,500. Our account is 2,500, and we've had 250 days. That's like £10 a day, isn't it?
Yeah, happy with that.
Interesting. 10 quid a day. What can you buy with 10 quid a day nowadays?
A couple of pints.
That
When you're
guy's
allowed out.
doing meals for a quid. So
yeah.
What's happened?
Well, we got
10 meals.
Oh yeah, Miguel Barkley.
Yeah.
Nice.
Meal for a pound.
Feed your family for 2 weeks.
Right. As I said before, my real stop is up at 12,280 for my own short in the Nasdaq, but I'm going to do a gun to the head and try and capture a little bit of a lower move here. It's trading at 11,968. So I'll sell it here. The stop in this trade would be 12,068. So 100 tick stop. And I'll go for 500 tick profit, 5 to 1. 11,468. Just looking for a 5 to 1 risk reward. A little bit of an outsider today, but sort of like down towards these swing low levels and previous resistance levels. So that's what I'm looking for. That's me done.
Mate. I'm with you on the indices front, Steve. I think they are going to stall given this rally that we've seen. This is the Euro Stoxx 50 I've got up on the chart here. So what we saw a couple of days back or last week was a breakdown of this wedge here. And a fairly dramatic sell-off followed, but then obviously we've seen this ridiculous rally that's taken shape over the last few days. So I think now we're getting closer to the end game with the election. We're going to see things start to stall. If we take a look at the intraday charts, this is a 4-hour chart. This swing move here, we've retraced 78.6% of that, pretty much on the button. We had to go there at 2 o'clock yesterday trying to overcome that level, and we've seen it again first thing this morning. If we take a look at the hourly chart, then what we can see here is this candle here had a poke above this level that we saw on the 5th at 32.23. Really big reversal taking shape there. So for me, that's a cue to sell. I'm going to get short now at 31.95. Stop above the highs of the day at 32.32, and I am going to target a complete retracement of that move down to 28.95. Unlikely to happen in one go, but
you never know.
You never know. So
Good
8R potentially on that one if it works out from here. So there's your 3 trades. I'm selling Euro Stoxx, Steve is selling Nasdaq, and Ian is sorry, I forgot what you were doing. Buying dollar yen, of course. Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps it all up. Unless anybody's got anything else to add, news or chart-wise.
Nope.
No, all good. Have a good day, everyone.
how are you spending your locked-in Friday night? Are you back on the quizzes now with your family and friends on Zoom?
No, I'm going to avoid that at all costs. I never won any of them. Not the family, just the quizzes.
Yeah,
Absolutely
okay.
dreadful at them. So
Yeah.
I fell off the wagon yesterday. I'd consumed a bottle of red last night to myself.
Okay.
only one.
Just
Only
the one.
one?
I had a gin and tonic starter.
Oh, okay. That's all right then.
That's all right. That helps.
Yeah. Well, what else can you do? It's not like it's.
So a long walk
Yeah.
today, I think.
How's your groin?
Walk it all off.
Joe?
Oh, it's not great.
We're
My
still
groin.
live, by the way.
Yeah. My football injury from last week.
In case we get into any other bodily parts.
Right. Let's wrap it up, guys.
And we were talking about Joe's tash as well, which we should obviously.
A little ginger tash from Movember.
Yeah.
We got to cut ours in, Stevie, Gringo style or something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see how bored I get during lockdown, maybe.
All right, gents.
There was one more funny thing I saw this morning when it was like a sort of bit of a Scottish joke, and they were sort of saying in their accents about is it October?
Oh,
what's the
sober October? And it was,
I'm going to be sober in October, and the last guy was saying, I can't even remember December.
Yeah.
And that sort of did ring a sort of like a little bit of a bell with me. I actually didn't.
Semi-Scottish Indian.
Yeah.
That sounded.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was. He was half
well,
Scottish, half
you're very
Indian.
good at you're very good at accents. Then. Very good.
One of my many talents.
Great.
All right, guys.
Okay. Have a great weekend, everybody,
Enjoy.
and catch you on Monday.
See you later. Bye.
See ya.